Donald Trump's Madison Square Garden rally shouldn't surprise you, but it should worry you, and let me tell you why. So, I'm a parent of two boys. One is 15, one is 12. We regularly tell them, my wife and I, that you're judged by the company you keep, that who you choose to hang out with at school and out of school says something about you. You could be a great kid, studious, respectful of adults, sporty, whatever. But if you hang around with kids who are looking at their phone, who don't make eye contact with adults, who are sarcastic and mean, that lots of people, your peers, your teachers, other parents, they will think that you're like that because you're judged by who you hang around with, right? Your friends say something about you. Who you choose to spend your free time with is telling. And I was thinking of that over and over again, watching and listening and reading about Donald Trump's rally at Madison Square Garden on Sunday. This is 9 days before the election. Now, this rally is like 5.5 hours long. So lots and lots of people spoke. And among the people who spoke was a guy who called Doug Imhoff a quote-unquote bad Jew, a guy who referred to Kamala Harris's pimp handlers, and then a comedian, note the air quotes, comedian, who made a number of sort of highly offensive comments about Hispanics, and then also said that Puerto Rico, I'm paraphrasing because I'm not going to read exactly what he said, but that Puerto Rico was a garbage dump in the middle of the ocean. Okay, now, the Trump campaign came out, and they distanced themselves from the comedian's comments. I was going to call them jokes, but let's be honest. His comments, saying that Trump had not seen the routine beforehand, didn't know what the guy was going to say, and obviously doesn't agree with it. Okay. And I feel like over and over and over again, we've heard this, which is someone comes out and says they support Donald Trump or they're for him or he gives them a platform, they say something, and then he says, oh, well, I mean, that's not me. Or he just ignores it, right? And to me, that should be worrisome because remember, there are 9 days before the election at that Madison Square Garden rally. These are people that Donald Trump, maybe not himself, but his campaign, has chosen to get the crowd going, represent his interests, whatever, probably all those things combined. They've chosen these people, right? They could have chosen lots of people. They chose these people. And it seems odd to me that they would have no sense of what these people believed, what these people thought, what these people's beliefs were and what they might say. If they did, it's the worst advanced work in history, but I'm sure they had some sense of what these people would say. That's why they were chosen. And time again, these people voice things that are hateful and intolerant. I don't know how else to put it, right? It's not a partisan thing. It's not a Democrat or Republican thing. They were hateful and intolerant comments. And we've seen this over and over again, that Trump is willing to platform people whose views are abhorrent. He provides cover for these people. He provides sort of an umbrella, a very broad umbrella of what can be said in the public domain. Now, I think people who are allies of Trump insist that this is sort of him and his supporters speaking truth to power, speaking truth to wokeness, that the PC police have run rampant, and you got to just say what you think. When that's hateful, I don't think you need to just say what you think, actually. But Trump platforms these people. He gives them a voice. He says, even if he doesn't say this is okay with me directly, he's kind of saying that by the approach he takes, the friends he chooses, right? I mean, this all goes back to high school or even earlier. Who you surround yourself with matters. It's telling. It's revealing. And this is not a one-off. This MSG rally is not a one-off. Donald Trump again and again has either condoned silently or not so silently, given a platform to put a spotlight on people whose views should rightly be consigned to the gutter. This is, again, not because they agree or disagree with me, but because I'm against hateful speech. I feel like that's a terribly controversial take. And that's what worries me about a second Trump term. So one of the things people will say, Trump is a racist, Trump is a fascist. I always say, I don't know that. I can't look into his heart and know what he thinks, okay? But what I do think is extremely worrisome, whether or not you think Donald Trump believes what he says or he just says it for political gain, the people that surround him, the people who are close to him, the people who are not so close to him, but with whom his campaign shares common purpose and his campaign is willing to highlight, regularly say things that should not be given voice to in popular culture. They are things that people have thought for a long time and many years, but we didn't give a platform to those things because they're hateful and intolerant, right? I think that's actually a good thing. I'm all for free speech, but using hate speech is not violates free speech in my mind. So, or certainly makes it so that we shouldn't platform it, I guess is the right way to put it. A presidential candidate should not be saying, yes, it's fine for people to call someone a bad Jew or make jokes about the Puerto Rican community. I don't see that. I don't get it. I don't get the logic. I don't understand it. And I think the fact that we have a presidential candidate who less than 2 weeks out from an election is willing to not just tolerate it, but put a light on it, right? Put these people on a stage so that they can make these points. That should worry us all, because don't think that that's going to change if Donald Trump is president. I mean, these people will be emboldened if Donald Trump is president. They will see his election as testament to the fact that their views are not, in fact, fringe views, that their views are mainstream views, or at least should be heard by the mainstream, that they have wide berth to say whatever it is they think they should say at any time. And that worries me, because I don't see any evidence that whether or not Donald Trump believes it, he is not going to condemn it. And he is going to continue to give it a platform. So whether he believes it or not is sort of immaterial in that regard, because if I kept letting someone come on here say on my channel and say things that I totally disagreed with, at some point you'd say, well, Chris, don't you kind of must agree with at least some of it because you continue to let someone say it? Yes, that would be reasonable. That would be a reasonable assumption. So to me, that's what this Madison Square Garden rally says, or reaffirms. It's not the first time I've thought this, but reaffirms for me. The friends Donald Trump keeps should worry you. The views of that group should worry you. His willingness to platform them should worry you. And again, that doesn't have to do with being a Democrat or Republican, Green Party, Independent, Libertarian. It has to do with tolerance. It has to do with basic decency. And that's one of the many things that does worry me if Donald Trump gets back into the White House is the company he keeps. All right, so we are 8 days out. I'm doing at least one video every single day. Sometimes I'm going to do two as news warrants. As always, I ask you to do 4 things. 1, subscribe to this channel. We're trying to get to 50,000 before the election. I think we might be able to do it. 8 days. We gotta grow fast, but let's. Gotta have a goal, gotta shoot for something. Like this video, comment on this video, and tell 10 friends about this video. Okay, can we agree on that? Let's shake. Okay, all right, I'll see you tomorrow.